Thousands of businesses were forced to close. Millions of New Yorkers lost their jobs overnight, and loved ones were forced to die alone in quarantine.
This brings any PPP and EIDL loan into a whole different world.
I actually was the one who convinced the mayor to make it a mandate. I was on TV for about a year and a half. So I was on a press conference every day for a year and a half, every morning at 10 o'clock.
You've got to see this from front to back, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to explode with lawsuits.
Now, officials say gatherings continue to play a role in the increase. While anyone planning on a big party, officials are telling you, think again.
The only way I could do this job for the city was if I had some way to blow off steam every now and then.
Do you think you'd have gotten like a hard time if like the New York City found out that you were having sex parties during COVID?
Yeah, it would have been a big deal. Yeah, it would have been real embarrassing.
Yeah, you can keep it. Yeah, keep it.
Ladies and gentlemen, if this doesn't constitute duress, I don't know what does.
You're going to have to do it this way. And so he came up with this metaphor. We're going to climb this ladder. We're going to first start voluntarily, and then we're going to be pushing it. So the way we do it in public health is we make it very uncomfortable to be unvaccinated. The vaccine is like, oh, you can't get a job. You can't go to a restaurant. You can't go to school. It's like, I'm just going to get vaccinated.
So was it technically like kind of forcing people?
Yeah, that's what you force people by making it really uncomfortable to you.
CZAR Technologies has said that it has terminated him effective immediately.
Who wouldn't feel violated after hearing the scientists and the data people were literally having sex parties while they were shutting your businesses down and forcing you to take loans? What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's good to see you today on the SpeaknsEE Show. Please like, subscribe, and click that notification button so when we get information out, you can get information in. It's going to go down. Lawsuits are going to be coming out from every side of the spectrum on this breaking news right now that the conservative media show Louder with Crowder has just uncovered. There's going to be lawsuits from family members who literally lost their loved ones in the hospital and couldn't even go see them. They had to watch them from Zoom. They had to watch them die. I know, I was involved in one that I had to watch, and but they couldn't go see him because of the mandates. They're going to be seeking punitive damages. I know people who personally had to go through those moments, and small business owners who are psychologically forced to take loans out for their businesses. It's a very legitimate and real case that needs to have proof being placed under mental and physical or forced stress that you took out a loan because you were coerced in some way, shape, or form. You can't just say, hey, I was under duress and think you're going to alleviate any of your financial woes. You can't do that to be under duress. But when you have proof and you have it on video of the harassment and fear tactics that would show proof that you're a victim of this mental or devious maneuver that put your life in harm's way of some sort, if you have proof, you have a case for being under duress. Nobody's going to come out and personally say, I scared them into taking a loan, or no financial or government institution would do that willingly, right? But Louder with Crowder, the media team went undercover and investigated COVID-19 czar, Varma, who put the vaccine mandates in place in New York, and it finds out that putting Americans under duress and harassing them to bend their knees to the vaccine mandates was all part of the scheme to get people to play to the beat. It's clear as day now. This is what's called being under duress. It couldn't be more evident. This could be the biggest class action suit in the history of not only the United States, but the world. Take a listen.
Like de Blasio.
Yeah.
So how did you convince him to do the mandate?
Well, I had actually been talking to him about it since even before the vaccines were available. I was like, you're going to have to do it this way. And so he came up with this metaphor. We're going to climb this ladder. We're going to first start voluntarily, and then we're going to be pushing it. So the way we do it in public health is we make it very uncomfortable to be unvaccinated. The vaccine is like, oh, you can't get a job. You can't go to a restaurant. You can't go to school. It's like, I'm just going to get vaccinated.
So was it technically like kind of forcing people?
Yeah, that's what you force people by making it really uncomfortable. Your car comes with seatbelts and airbags. You have to actively, and it beeps all the time. So you can still drive without a seatbelt, right? The car doesn't shut off, but it beeps all the time.
Right.
This is your seatbelt.
So brilliant.
Yeah. That's the whole idea. The whole idea is like you build barriers so that people are like, this, I'm just gonna do it because I'm tired of being wrong.
So it was like kind of forcing you.
Yeah, and the whole point of the education is, this is where I have like all these talks and I give people in public health about it. It's like, people think, oh, I'm going to give you lots of information so you'll do the right thing. No, the reason I give you the information is so that I'm going to make it really hard to be unvaccinated. And then I'm going to also give you a lot of information about getting vaccinated and why it's good. So that once you finally say, it, I'm just going to get vaccinated, you at least know that, oh, well, at least they told me it's really safe. So do you understand the difference? They didn't get vaccinated because they heard it was safe. They gave in because it was really hard.
It's not so much about finding them and arresting them. It's about making the default, what we call the default choice, the easy one. So you just have to do it that way.
I mean, are people even really smart enough to deal with this on their own?
No, that's why we require it. Smart. And that's why I told you about the education. It's like, I don't expect the education to change your behavior. I'm just going to make it really hard for you to do your job. And then I'll give you education so that when you finally give in, you'd be like, oh, well, I guess it was the right thing.
Yeah.
All I can say to people is that this is not a conspiracy. This is like people working flat out, doing the best they possibly can.
Now this opens up a whole can of worms, like it's the holy grail of beginning towards investigations of a conspiracy theory that 4 years ago, well, it's no longer a conspiracy theory. It's no longer a theory anyway.
The board of directors of CZAR Technologies terminated Dr. Jay Varma effective immediately.
Though it's still a conspiracy of the utmost magnitude, if I say so myself, it's a form of control that enabled the monetary funds of like the World Bank, the IMF, and BlackRock to reap trillions of dollars by way of coercion. Not only that, but Amazon going from being a trial run into 90% of the households in America now ordering from them, it devastated small businesses in America. That same small businesses that were coerced into taking loans when they came out of COVID never saw their clients return to buy their goods. But it's also a case where you kind of have a cops doing the investigation on themselves. The government didn't come clean or investigate this matter. So don't think for a second that the government is going to do anything more than give you a congressional hearing sideshow that does nothing for the victims. As a matter of fact, the Congress and Senate are attacking the victims now, calling their heads, most of them calling for their heads and calling them fraudsters. It's a clear government media power play that paints the victim to be the bad guy. So the public is blind to the reality of what they're really seeing now. The government has already begun weaponizing itself to collect, and if needed, by force. I mean, as the Senate and Congress passed the Inflation Reduction Act, it provided $80 billion additional funding to the IRS for IRS agents, saying that much of which is dedicated to closing the tax gap, specifically by enforcing tax compliance by the wealthiest tax evaders. But the timing of it's pretty clear that they're coming after the EIDL and PPP borrowers. So the ones who granted the $80 billion for those efforts and all that power are also the ones that are going to be doing the investigation on the COVID-19 drug czar. So who can give a logical explanation that those who work for the IMF, World Bank, and BlackRock's best interest would turn around and attack them just because it's the right thing to do? To hold the bullies into account. No, it's going to have to be done by small business owners collectively gathering the information with a slew of very reputable attorneys and, well, more investigations about the inner dealings of how it all went down. So what is duress? To say you were under duress by law. Let me just show you this page on Lawyer Brandon Esquire. Says to prove that you are co-signed under duress or psychological pressure from an abusive partner. In this case, the partner would be the government and the media. You should gather evidence that supports your claim. You can include documents of the abuse, such as a video, police reports, restraining orders, and statements from witnesses that can help establish a pattern of abusive communications between you and your ex-partner. So if the small business owner here says, hey, that's the exact same thing that happened to me, and another one says, hey, same thing, now you're establishing the statements and getting witnesses collectively together to form communication that this is how it went down. Email, text, or other forms of communication that show the threats of manipulation used to coerce you into signing the loan, such as maybe even a bribe, like a $10,000 grant to get through it, that turned into coercion of the loan as time went by. Maybe that might sound familiar to somebody out there. I don't know. I'm just saying, as an example, that might have happened. Co-signing the loan. Expert testimony, such as myself or somebody like Jason McElhone out there who maybe, consider getting a specialist in domestic abuse, or in this case, it would be government coercion, right? Or trauma, to testify on your behalf and explain how the abuse affected your ability to make a rational decision. I think we could come up with thousands of people here on this channel. Comment below. Let me know if you would be interested. And you guys can form a committee down there if you like. And it goes on to say, I'm sorry to hear that you were bullied into doing this, coerced. And the good news is that any contract signed under duress is considered to be null and void. Now, I'm not talking about just the 25, the 25% that somebody might have taken in the beginning. I'm talking about the whole thing. The first contract was under duress. The second contract, where you can get 75% or 3 times more of the loan that they took, was still under duress. It's still under the same contract. You should notify a judge overseeing the matter that occurred, blah, blah, blah. But just to say that under duress, good news is that any contract signed under duress is to be considered null and void. There we have it. Now, how far will this go? I don't know, because remember, the Biden administration, as well as Chuck Schumer, has been dead silent on any SBA EIDL loan forgiveness since before the election in 2020. Maybe a little bit after, maybe in 2021 they were still talking about it and this and that, but on forgiveness, they haven't talked about it since before the election. And as like Schumer did underneath that tree, Schumer, you did that over in New York. We've got video. And as many as small business owners had hoped would come out and be more vocal for loan forgiveness prior to the 2024 elections, like it now, right before the election, 2024, people were like, oh, okay, maybe they'll come out with, this is an administration that would like to see loan forgiveness to some extent, at least, and alleviate some of the problems that were caused to small businesses by COVID. Neither the Trump administration nor the Harris administration has mentioned anything about it. Well, they want more money, right, from the IMF and BlackRock, and that's very evident now. But we'll see if this right here evidence brings the snake's eyes from that muddy, brings them out from that muddy pits of the swamp that are down there as the draining continues, and their eyes are finally coming out like, uh-oh, we've been caught. They see us now. We see you. We have seen you. And now it's just coming out into the open of what they are doing. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think. We've had petitions for EIDL loan forgiveness. They didn't get much ground, but hopefully this can pick it up a little bit more. And I would like to encourage you all to please like, subscribe, and give any information down below. Or if you guys would like to form, if that's going to happen, I don't know. What do you think? Is there going to be a big pushback on this now, and maybe some more evidence coming out as this whole story unfolds? Let me know what you think down below, and I appreciate you watching. Please like, subscribe again. God bless you. Jesus is Lord, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Give it to me. Give it to me. Yeah.